Are you using your team? That's a really good question. And it's one that I run into a lot where people are not using their team. Why? A couple of reasons. Number one, they say, well, my team members are going to think I'm stupid if I ask that question. No, they're not. Guess what? They're experienced people, they're senior people. They already know you're tremendously inexperienced almost always. You might not know how to read a financial statement. You might not know how to structure a deal. You might not know any of the things that you need to know to be able to do this process. That's okay. That puts you in the category of just about everyone who's young that's starting this process. So you look at those deficiencies and you end up saying, okay, how do I put people around me that have the skill set and experience that I don't have? That is the reason you build a team. That's the reason you have a chairman, industry experts, a accounting director, or legal director on your board. You don't have that experience, but they do. I learned early on in my corporate career, while I had an engineering degree when we were selling to the big automotive guys, that I would get into areas where I needed a lot of in-depth discussions, whether that's manufacturing, quality, engineering. And I always used people that had much more experience than I did. I brought engineers, I brought plant people, I brought quality people. And guess what? Those calls went much, much better. They were able to discuss the specifics with those customers, and we had a lot of success as a result of that. I also spent a lot of time working alongside a former Navy SEAL for a long time, and we talked about the value of team in SEAL. They call it SEAL team for a reason. Same thing. Teams have different skill sets. So remember that, and remember that you may have to struggle occasionally with your self-image and your self-confidence, but that team around you will give you the skill sets you don't have and allow you to keep pushing forward. So I would encourage you to remember that. People say, well, I'm going to lose my team because things aren't happening as fast. They realize that deals crater. They realize that this is a hard process. If you don't contact them, if you don't send them updates, guess what? You likely will lose them. But if you focus on keeping them updated, using them, asking for help, you'll be in much, much better shape. And even I can learn from that process. I've got a good team around me. But there was one team member that I didn't use to their full capacity. They had retired from a big accounting firm. They were the head of valuation, which seemed to be a valuable skill, right? They then had also structured, if not hundreds, thousands of deals. So I included him in a prep call. Tremendously helpful, to the point that I said, I'm going to talk to the target the next day. I'd like you to join. And he said, absolutely. So we did pre-call planning, important. I put together an agenda for our side. He commented, yeah, that's perfect, Bruce. So you want to know what each is going to say on a call like that. You also want to know how they're going to behave on a call like that. Not everyone's good on a call, so you've got to determine that. When to use those tools, how to use those tools, what strengths and weaknesses there are in the team as well. We had that call, went very well. We're now in the process of generating the LOI around that. And guess what? He, while retired, also took a job where he helps out an accounting firm, big accounting firm in New York City. Turns out the building he is in is 4 floors below the law firm that we have. So it's super easy to also use him to help interact, meet those people, work on the LOI, even though I'll do a lot of that. So you will find that those team members have skill sets. Ask them, how else do you think you can help? What contacts do you have that you can reach out to, whether that's law firms, accounting firms, acquisitions, financial institutions? Think about how you can use that team and then use that team. And if you do that and understand that teams get things done, you will end up much more successful. You also need to remember, and I see this a lot, don't jump the steps. First, figure out the industry. Figure out what niche you want to be in. Do some research on that. Talk to industry experts. Build your team. Don't worry about a step beyond that. Build your team. If you talk to industry experts first, don't bring them on. Keep them warm, because the chairman's going to probably want to be involved in that process. You can end up learning from those. I've talked about that in the deep dive boot camp, how to do that. Talk to your industry experts, keep them warm, bring on your chairman, have your chairman interview those industry experts, then bring on the legal and the accounting. That process works and has worked over and over and over again. The same with financial institutions, and then the same with your prospects. Think about how you're going to interact. How are you going to separate yourself from all the people trying to do this that don't really know what they're doing? You have the advantage of knowing how to do this if you've been through the deep dive boot camp and you understand the steps and the scripts and templates and how to do that. So use all of those tools. That's the best message I can give you today. Recognize you don't know everything, but guess what? You don't need to know everything. You just have to have people around you that do have that experience. So if you don't know the steps, go over to brucewhipple.com, get the all new deep dive boot camp, and then follow those steps. And if you do that with the right team and you take action and stay focused, you are much, much more likely to be on the side of being successful doing this, as many have.